Welcome to the Growth Inspired Tribe, where we keep it real about embracing change, aligning growth, and figuring life out without losing yourself in the process. From career pivots to rewriting the old stories placed on you by others, I'm exploring what it really means to build a life that feels aligned from the inside out. If you're navigating your own glow up, you're in good company. So let's talk about money. And every time I do, I hear the OJs in my head singing, money, 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 money. I love that song. But when I think about money, it's like they say money can't buy happiness. And that's true in a sense, but the absence of money, that is a different kind of stress. Like, for example, a few years ago, I lost my job right before the global pandemic started. I had no income, no backup, and no safety net. So then I got a job offer and I was disqualified because of my credit score. And when that happened, I was like, whoa, that was a wake-up call for me. I realized I needed to take my finances seriously, and not just from a budgeting perspective, but mentally and emotionally too. And surprisingly, the shift began with reading some books. And not in a magic fix kind of way, but in a mindset reset, decision anchoring, let me face myself kind of way. So here are 4 books that helped me rebuild my financial confidence, one mindset shift at a time. Book 1, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. This was the first book that helped me understand my relationship with money, not just the math. Before, I followed a simple pattern: pay my bills, spend what's left, feel good temporarily, then spiral when the credit card statement came. I avoided my balance. I didn't plan. I didn't save. I just survived until I couldn't. When I lost my job, I hit rock bottom financially. And months later, when I finally got that job offer, I lost it because my credit score disqualified me. So reading The Psychology of Money helped me reflect on how much of that wasn't about income, but more about behavior and how I viewed risk, control, and even worth. And this book reminded me your financial mindset is shaped by your upbringing, your survival patterns, and the stories you tell yourself about money. And once you are aware of that, that's where the real change starts, because you start understanding it's not just you doing something repetitively, there's a meaning behind it. Book 2 was Clever Girl Finance by Bola Sokunbi. This book was really a breath of fresh air. It's practical, it's relatable, and written especially for women navigating money without a financial safety net. One quote hit me really hard where she said, "Your spending habits make you rich, not your salary." And that was the moment I stopped feeling powerless about what I didn't earn and started focusing on what I could control. And I started tracking my spending, defining my core values, and finding a financial why that actually meant something to me. And that mindset shift made everything a bit easier when I started to think about my money and how I wanted to see my money in a long-term perspective. Book 3, I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. Ramit is a blunt person. If you've seen him on Netflix, I believe he had a show where it was like a documentary of him helping people based on the concepts of this book. And he's blunt, and I love that. Sometimes you need some people that are blunt, they just keep it real with you. about things, as long as they do it in a manner that it's clear that they want what's best for you, not the people who are just being blunt to be rude and don't really like you, and they are still spending time with you. But that's another topic I will talk about in the future. But Ramit, in the book, he breaks down credit, budgeting, and investing in a way that's simple and strategic. What I appreciated most is he doesn't pretend the credit system is fair. He admits it's broken, but instead of complaining, he teaches you how to play smart with the system that exists. And that stuck with me because maintaining a good credit score becomes less about guilt and more about strategy. Like playing a card game, you don't always get the hand you want, but if you know the rules, you can still win, Or how I see it is, once you know the game of a credit score, figure out what you can eliminate as far as your debt, as far as credit debt, and create new rules for yourself where maybe you don't rely as much on the credit score, but you make sure it's at least at a healthy state where if you need to use it as a tool, you're able to look in your handy dandy toolbox and pick it out when you need it, And book 4 was Smart Women Finish Rich by David Bach. I actually probably need to reread this book because it was just so much information. But this book gave me vision. It helped me connect my money goals to my actual values. And one of the quotes that stood out to me was, "Without values, goals rarely get accomplished." And I agree with that. If you don't know your why behind what you want to do, it's a good chance that what you want to do will never materialize, So before reading that book, I set goals like save $1,000 just because I thought I should. And then after reading that, I started asking why that number mattered to me. Like, what did that $1,000 represent? And this book also inspired me to share what I learned. So I started having real money conversations with my sisters and with friends, and not from a preachy place, but from care. Because once you know better, you want the people you love to have access to. And also, I just thought about something. We were talking about what does that money represent. For me, having access to money is having the freedom over my time, over where I spend, where I live, where I spend that money. And having access to that just makes life a lot smoother. So referring back to that quote where they say money can't buy happiness, maybe not happiness, but it sure as hell sets you up in a really good spot so that you can potentially be happy as long as you're doing the inner work as well, spiritually. But yeah, so those are the 4 books that I enjoyed that really helped me reframe how I think about money. And the truth is, I didn't change my relationship with money overnight. It took a lot of late nights, small wins, a lot of grace that I had to give myself. And truthfully, this is a version of the book that these books that I read, or this, what I'm telling you about, is something that happened at the beginning of the pandemic. So now I'm in a completely new spot where I've been through other changes, like getting a job and then getting laid off and then having to deal with the aftermath of that, getting my first severance pay that I've never ever gotten because that was my first time laid off, and then dealing with my emotions that you deal with when something like that happens, and how I've been on the journey of recovering since that happened. So since the time that I originally went through this story, there's been a lot of different changes. I'm really happy to announce that I was able to pay off that credit card that caused me to be disqualified from that job. So I was able to pay that off. I'm very happy that I was able to pay that off. And because I was able to do that, I was able to use my credit score as a tool to do other things. Like I got my first apartment by myself. I was there for about 3.5 years. I was able to get a car in my name because at the time when I needed a new car, I didn't have the credit. So thankfully my Meanwhile, my grandmother got the car in her name and I paid her. And so I was able to build back up my credit using the steps in these books. For example, like getting a secure credit card and things like that and paying it off. And within time, I was able to get the card my Mima got it in my name. And I was able to do that because the bank finally saw that my credit score was back up. So there's been a very up and down journey with finances, and I share all that to say that if you're having any negative doubts or thoughts about yourself being able to recover, you can recover. Things happen. You cannot control being laid off of a job. You can't control a job using a credit score to disqualify applicants. You can't control that. But what you can control just is what you focus on and the information that you feed yourself, and then how you apply that information. And once you are working with the universe, you're showing that you're ready to show up for yourself, you're praying with God or whoever you believe in, trust me, things are going to be happening for you. So, and sorry if there's a lot of background noise. I'm currently in Mallorca. Recording this, and the beach house that I'm staying at right now, there's a lot of commotions. It's like right on the street alley. So I've grown accustomed to the noise, but if it's in the background, it is what it is. I can't change that. But yeah, so these 4 books gave me the tools to stop spiraling, stop avoiding, start planning. And if you're in that space right now, overwhelmed, if you're unsure, if you're tired of feeling behind, I just hope that this reminds you that you're not alone. And you don't have to get it perfect. You just have to start. If you're thinking about grabbing any of the books I mentioned, check out my bookshop.org page. So basically, it's like supporting your favorite indie bookstores and my channel at the same time. Same prices, just a better impact. In fact, on the website, when you add a book to your cart, you are able to select a local bookstore in your area and make sure that the proceeds go to that store. So I think that is really cool and a great effort to keep supporting these bookstores, because we know Amazon is a beast. But that's one area that we can certainly support bookstore owners in our areas and in our community. So I've linked everything below, and yes, these are affiliate links, so I get a small thank you if you buy through them at no extra cost to you. So go take a peek, and you never know, your next favorite read might be waiting for you. Thanks for tuning in. For more reflections on personal growth, intentional living, and life beyond the ordinary, make sure to hit subscribe. And you can also follow along on the blog at britneymctier.substack.com and join the Growth Inspired Tribe. So it's a space where we share grounded tools, deep insights, and soulful, good for the soul strategies to grow from where we are to where we're meant to be.